Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is John S. Ray's Oberlin College Diary, 1945, Part 14. This was originally published as a Zook Family Memories Collection, or ZFMC number 35, published in October 15th, 1991. And my father was a continuation. He was in Ketchikan, Alaska, in the summer between his junior and senior years at Oberlin College, working on a fishing boat. August 13th, 1945. I had wheel watch from 4 to 6. It was a sleepy 2 hours. We went about 85 miles from Ketchikan. The scenery down here is really something. We sailed along for miles in a channel filled with beautiful blue-green water and flanked on both sides by snow-capped mountains. I had wheel watch from 10 p.m. until midnight. We're starting back now, having only packed about 6,000 fish. Japan still has not officially capitulated. Today, August 14th. Today is VJ Day, Victory over Japan. The Second World War, the worst war in the history of the world, is finished. For the United States, it lasted 3 years, 8 months, and 1 week. It's hard to believe that peace is on the way and the boys will be coming back. A wonderful feeling. I took wheel watch from 6 to 8 and saw my first seal and some more porpoises. We pulled into Ketchikan about 8:30. John and I helped unload halibut for 4.5 hours while the Haley went out again. He had Betty aboard the Eskimo last night. The news of the Japanese surrender came about 3 this afternoon. I got a very interesting letter from Marty. I guess I'll sleep on the Eskimo tonight as the Haley isn't in yet. August 15th. The Haley got in about 1 a.m., so I went aboard. Then I moved back to the Eskimo, though, when the chief's snoring kept me awake. Today was the first bad one we've had for quite a while. Got about 60 pounds of liver, though. Everything downtown was closed in celebration of the victory in the war. August 16th. The skipper did a little better today in pulling up alongside the traps. Not nearly as much fun, though. We brailed all the traps except Nelson's Cove and got in about 8:30. August 17th. The sea was pretty husky today, and we were hung up at Nelson's Cove for several hours and got in fairly late this evening. I got quite a charge taking the wheel in the rough sea. August 18th. This has been one tough day. We pulled in 17,000 fish and brailed all 5 traps and didn't get in until 10:30 and then had to wait 2 hours before we could get up to the float. Wayne Duff and I were up until after 3 getting the dogfish livers. August 19th. Wayne Duff and I slept late while Bruce Partridge did the washing. We weighed in 103 pounds of liver this afternoon and had another very enjoyable Sunday at the Becks. Mr. Beck had the pictures, which turned out pretty well. Ovington isn't feeling well enough to go back to work tomorrow. August 20th. We pulled in Jenkins' nets and brailed the 4 other traps. It was a fairly rough day, and got in about 8:30, and then went downtown with the mate. He's in even worse trouble than usual with his wife now. We had a few drinks and talked with the usual round of drunken klooches. August 21. We got off to an early start this morning, but the damn skipper had us lay up in Nelson Cove for 3 hours. We came right out and said that he didn't want us to get in too early. Bruce Partridge and Wayne Duff went to the show, but it was my turn to help tie up the boat. August 22. The weather was beautiful today. We pulled in 16,000 fish and got in about 8:30. We all met at the Arctic Bar, including Smitty and Dawn, and had one fine time. I met a very attractive klooch named Rosie. August 23. Duff, Bruce, and Ovington went up the trap line last night about 1:30. The mate's girl turned out to be a whore. Smitty has been tight all day and not worth a damn. He's still a good man. Beautiful weather again. We pulled in about 28,000 fish and didn't get in until midnight and then had to wait on the Tom and Al. The season has been extended 1 day. Fishing season. August 24th. Wonderful weather all day, but the skipper fooled around just like always. We worked pretty hard and didn't get in until 11:30 with our 24,000 fish. Another beautiful orange moon came over the mountain this evening. I wish Marty were here to help enjoy it. August 25th, 1945. This has been a fairly hard day. We brailed 4 traps and picked up 8 spiller webs, 4 trap watchmen, and 4 skiffs. Quite a few dogfish for a change. Very probably this is our last day on the boat. We got in about 10:30 and had some beer at the Arctic bar. I knocked off the skipper's hat and glasses with a line this afternoon. They evidently fell in the hold, but we couldn't find them. August 26th. I did my laundry and some odds and ends this morning. It feels good to be clean again. We aren't quite sure what we'll be doing now that the fishing season is over. However, we all have faith in Mr. Johnson. This afternoon and this evening we were all down at the Becks. Our little interludes there every weekend are the high spots of our stay in Ketchikan. We came back to the dock about 11:30 this evening to find that the Haley was leaving on a packing jaunt at midnight. Nothing like these last-minute deals, I always say. August 27th. I had wheel watch from 4 to 6 this morning. We passed around Cape Shakon, which is supposed to have some of the roughest waters in southeastern Alaska. It was a pretty calm today, though. We slept all morning and all afternoon. Then I took 2 hours on deck this evening helping unload Seine fish. It was really a rough day. August 28th. The skipper got us up in the middle of the night to pew fish for 3 hours. Very ornery work. I took a wheel watch from 8 to 10 this morning. We got in about 1:30 this afternoon and went downtown after a good shower. We took a load of oil and then the 3 of us moved our stuff off the boat. Caleb gave us 3 hours overtime for last night. We're going to stay in the bunkhouse. 3 of us went to the show and had a beer this evening. We're still not sure what we're going to do. August 29th. Ovington and Slaughter are on the gear scow. Wayne Duff is in the cannery, and Bruce Partridge and I started hauling lumber in coal storage this morning. We started working in the fish house this afternoon, putting the fish on the table. We worked 4 hours overtime this evening. Bruce Partridge was glazing this afternoon and his lungs started bothering him. He knocked it off at 7:30. I got soaked myself but didn't catch cold. I was very tired but went after the mail anyhow. August 30th. We started spooning fish this morning and did it for 11½ hours. Spooning means scraping the coagulated blood off the spine of the fish. I got very tired, probably because I wasn't used to the work. Bruce is making boxes now. Ovington and Slaughter are in the fish house now too. August 31. I worked until 9:30 again this evening spooning fish and putting them on the table. Then had a very fine letter from Marty. I went over and visited Wayne Duff in the cannery after work. He's been working some late hours. September 1. We put in another 12 hours in the fish house. This work would drive a person insane in rather short order. Certainly glad it'll be finished tomorrow night. We just live from coffee time to coffee time. The 3 other guys here in this big bunkhouse room are from the College of St. Olaf in Minnesota. We've been having some good laughs together. I got 2 fine letters from the folks back home. This lousy salmon smell holds on after a good shower. Well, I suppose it's a good experience. September 2. Today was Sunday, but we put in a good day's work. The whip really made me sore this evening. However, I told him what I thought and got away with it. We took the last dog salmon off the floor about 8:30. What an enormous relief to be done with this lousy work. September 3. Today was Labor Day and it was really fine not to have to work. I did a big washing this morning. 8 of us went down to the Becks this afternoon. John Serwinski, the deaf mute, and a damn good Joe went along with us. We saw the salmon ladder on the way down. Very interesting, but not too practical, I understand. Duffer, Jim Forsell, and I saw one of the more killing shows of the year, Together Again. Afterwards, we made a big pilgrimage to the Arctic bar. September 4th. My arm muscles are pretty sore this evening after lifting can racks with Duff all day. We got a case of salmon free to send home. We met at the Arctic again, and Duff and I got into a very interesting discussion on spiritual contentment. September 5th. Duffer and I started working with Austin today. Mr. Johnson thinks we'll be able to work a week or so yet. This work is really a good deal. This morning I helped Austin wash webbing, which is a snap. This afternoon we unloaded a scow. Tonight we were all very tired, but went down to the Arctic bar anyhow. September 6th. We lugged boxes in stoves upstairs this morning. Austin was so tired after we coiled down a long tow line that we didn't do much this afternoon. Tonight 5 of us went down to the fish lab and went through the cannery. Very interesting. September 7th. Mr. Johnson came in this morning and tried to get me up for breakfast. It didn't work. We helped unload 65,000 pounds of halibut for about 6 hours. My job was to unload the sling again. Then Bruce and I unloaded bait for a while. That is the roughest work I've hit so far. The last thing we did was to load out 18 tons of ice. Bruce and I went to the dance. Jim Jerp and I went to a very mild double feature and played 2 games of rotation. September 8. Wayne Duff and I cut webbing with Austin all day. We finished all of it. Mr. Johnson was after me to come to breakfast again. I'll have to start on Monday. Nils and Peter left for home this morning. The room seems pretty empty. This evening, Jim, John, and I played poker. Jim took me for 60 cents. Wayne Duff had a date with the girl he met last night. It started to rain pretty hard this evening. I hear that the Haley's motor has conked out in the storm. I hope they don't wind up on the rocks. September 9. I did a little reading in my psychology book this afternoon. Good stuff. Then finished up a large washing in the machine this morning. It rained so hard all day that we couldn't go down to the Becks. This evening we had a little poker game, and I came out 20 cents ahead. We all went to see the movie Payoff with Lee Tracy tonight. He's quite a character. A good show. I won $1 in the slot machine. Bruce and I are learning the deaf and dumb language and getting quite a charge out of it. September 10th. I washed Webb all day with Austin. He's very probably one of the more square-headed Norwegians alive. This evening I called the Northland ticket agent and got the dope on northbound boats. Now I have decided definitely to go north. We spent about an hour making plans for the trip. The 3 of us are going. We'll leave Friday on the North Sea. It'll be a real relief to get out of here. September 11th. We loaded out 2 carloads of cold storage halibut today. Wayne Duff went to Rotary with his grandpa. This evening we saw a Bob Hope and Betty Hutton show that was really a scream. September 12th. Austin and I finished the webbing this morning. This afternoon, Jim, Bruce, and I went up into the top of the warehouse on some planks and had a good snooze. We found out that we couldn't get back from Sitka for 2 weeks, so I guess the trip north is off. We all went to see Naughty Marietta with Mr. Beck. The music was absolutely inspiring. September 13. We got our hopes up on some false information on going north this morning, so I imagine we'll definitely go south Saturday. We went up to the Becks this afternoon and took them out to dinner this evening. We're going to have a long sack watch tonight for a change. September 14th. Today we took care of the last of our business in Ketchikan. All of my money is either on the way home or in traveler's checks. This evening we wrote letters and went to a double feature. The Haley was in today, so we sent the word out to the lads and loaded our salmon aboard. The salmon are literally swarming up the channel now. There seem to be thousands of them. This is our last night in Ketchikan. While we've had a great experience up here, it'll be good to hit the road again. September 15th. We took our guff down to the dock in a taxi this morning and then saw the Becks for the last time. They have certainly been a big part in our good times in Alaska. Reverend Beck and Suzanne looked very forlorn as we pulled away from the dock on the Prince George. Our steerage accommodations are really fine. There are clean sheets and pillowcases on the bunks, and we are up forward, away from the engines. Our waiter, Ernie, is a very polite little toothless cockney. We pulled into Prince Rupert this evening about 7. It has a railroad and an army base, and is one of the most singularly dull towns I have ever seen. Duff and I finally found a beer hall and had about a dozen apiece. We got our signals mixed, and Bruce stood outside all this time waiting for us. Accidentally, we almost caused a brawl between a Canadian soldier and an American soldier. However, we were lucky and nothing happened. About 10 rather well-oiled jerks joined us in the steerage this evening. September 16. The submarine nets at the entrance of Prince Rupert Harbor are being taken down and put away. A rather grim reminder. Didn't get off the sack until noon. 2 young beggars showed us Ocean Falls this afternoon. It is made up of a large spruce pulp mill and a residence district of modern company-owned homes. This evening, while strolling on deck, we heard 3 young ladies singing. We chimed in and got to know them despite the cold and wet. They are all 3 from Winnipeg, and are working girls on leave. Somehow or other, my date, Fran, seems to be the prettiest one of the group. We stayed up talking until 2 o'clock. If everything works out, we're going to have a session with them tomorrow night. September 17th. I had another long sack watch last night. The weather was sunny and very decent today. We all got quite a charge out of coming into Vancouver Harbor. Civilization at last. We got a room at the YMCA with no trouble and had a very refreshing swim. This evening we ate fish and chips and saw a very good movie before picking up the girls. We nearly had to pay for their suppers. About 9:15 we picked up our reservations at the Cave and had a definitely spiritless evening. In Canada, you have to take your own. A very unfortunate situation. While the floor show was bad, the band was good and the floor okay. Afterwards, I helped a drunk RAF fellow and his wife up into their hotel room. They were really tight. Bruce Partridge says that he still held out this evening, but Duff and I participated. Very enjoyable, I might say. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. John S. Ray's Oberlin College Diary, 1945, Part 14. They finished up their work in Alaska on a fishing boat and started their trip back to Ohio, to Sandusky, and then for his senior year at Oberlin. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck to you with your own efforts in family history, finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.